Hello, I'm Brenda, and this is the Healing Power of Story. Today I'm wanting to talk to you about our identity. I was at a dinner party for somebody's 40th birthday recently, and at the dinner table it was a group of 10 women. Average age I'd say was probably 50, but we had someone obviously turning 40, some other younger women soon to be turning 40, and then others of us who were in our late 40s, 50s, 60s. And the conversation got to what is it like to turn 40? And so the conversation developed into everybody sharing what they liked about being over the age of 40. And what struck me was I shared how I felt that being a young child in the late 70s and a teen in the early 80s, that I had had my identity as a woman and who I needed to be and how I was going to grow up, and the occupations that were available to me predetermined. And a lot of women who I would say were over the age of 45 were all nodding their heads. They identified with that. I've worked through all that process, and that is one of the gifts of being over the age of 40. And one of the ways I work through this is through writing, through journaling, through telling my own story to myself. And when we do that, we give ourselves the gift of voice. When we actually start to write our stories from our memories. So a particular incident, for example, when I came out of my house as a young girl of perhaps 7 and starting to stutter to speak to my father, and the conversation that ensued between us, I came to realize how my father actually fashioned the way I speak today and the forthrightness with which I speak because of that interaction we had. I never pieced it together until I actually wrote and told that story. And I really only wrote and told that story as his eulogy when he passed away. But it was so powerful for me that in writing that story, in processing it, I actually came to a deeper understanding of it. And that's one of the reasons why I encourage you to write your stories, even if it's just for yourself. If a memory comes to mind, take the time to sit down and write it. That's part of the writing life, but it's also part of the healing power of story. Start to tell those memories to yourself again, and give yourself space to process those stories and to see what filters. And then you're actually bringing some wisdom to the situation, because you go back to being that young child, but you also have the experience and the understanding of perhaps who your parents were at the ages you've now since become. And then you have a deep understanding of what it is to actually be 40 and not just the girl of 7 or 8. So I strongly encourage you, tell your stories first to yourself and see how you can heal through them. Go ahead, write and tell your story, and I'd love to hear more about them. Write something in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.